Nobody actually knows the answer to this. And I mean that literally. Ask a historian. Ask an anthropologist. Ask anyone who studies ancient humans for a living. They will tell you about the hunting. They will tell you about the tools. They will tell you about the cave paintings and the fire and the migrations. But nobody really sits down and asks, okay, but what did they do on a Tuesday? Like a regular Tuesday, when there was enough food, when nobody was sick, when the weather was fine. What did an ancient human actually do with a normal day? I got obsessed with this question, and what I found completely changed the way I think about what a day is supposed to be. So, the first thing you have to understand is that everything you think you know about ancient human daily life is probably backwards. We have this image of ancient humans constantly working to survive, every hour of every day dedicated to just not dying. Researchers completely dismantled this idea. Anthropologist Marshall Sahlins studied the closest living equivalents to our prehistoric ancestors, living hunter-gatherer tribes, people whose lifestyle has not fundamentally changed in tens of thousands of years. His conclusion was so surprising that it changed the entire field of anthropology. Ancient hunter-gatherers worked 3 to 5 hours a day. Not 8, not 10, not 12. 3 to 5. And that included everything. The hunting, the gathering, the food preparation, the tool maintenance, all of it. 3 to 5 hours. Then they stopped. The Kung people of the Kalahari, one of the oldest human cultures on Earth, spent between 12 and 19 hours getting food per week. Sahlins named them the original affluent society, because here is what he understood that nobody before him had said out loud. Affluence is not having everything you want. Affluence is not wanting more than you have. And ancient humans had figured this out so completely that by midday, most days, the work was simply done. So, what actually happened after the work was done? Here is what the research shows. First, they rested. Actually rested. Not the restless kind, not the halfway kind. Just rest. Anthropologist James Sussman spent years living with the Bushmen of the Kalahari, and he wrote something I have not stopped thinking about since I read it. He described watching members of the tribe sit in the shade for hours. Not bored, not restless, not waiting for something. Just sitting. In a state he called total, comfortable purposelessness. That phrase, total, comfortable purposelessness. He said it was one of the most striking things he witnessed in years of fieldwork. Because these were not lazy people. These were some of the most physically capable, mentally sharp, socially sophisticated humans he had ever encountered. And they could just stop, without it meaning anything bad, without needing to justify it. Second, they talked for hours. Researchers consistently found that the majority of leisure time in hunter-gatherer societies was spent in conversation. Not important conversation, not planning sessions. Just talk. Stories, observations, memories, things that happened, things that might happen. People in the tribe, animals they had seen, the way the light looked on the water. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar found evidence suggesting that human language itself may have evolved primarily for exactly this purpose. Not to describe the world, to talk about each other. Here is where it gets really interesting. Ancient humans made things. Not because the things were needed, not because someone asked for them, not to trade them or sell them or show them off. just because making them felt worth doing. Bone flutes, 40,000 years old, found in a cave in Germany. These were not survival tools. These were musical instruments. Someone carved them in their spare time. Because music. Because why not? The cave paintings. You know the ones. Deep inside caves across France and Spain and Africa. Animals and hands and shapes painted with extraordinary care and skill. Researchers have found evidence that ancient humans returned to the same caves over and over again, across generations. Not to shelter there, to paint, to add to something someone before them had started. An ancient human sitting by a fire in the afternoon, carving a flute out of a bird bone for no particular reason, was not wasting the day. They were doing exactly what humans do when they are not worried about survival. They were creating, they were playing, and they were doing it together. Because the one thing that cuts across every study, every surviving hunter-gatherer community, every piece of archaeological evidence we have about ancient human leisure time, is that they were almost never alone in it. The fire at the end of the day was not a fire for warmth. It was the center of the world. Everyone gathered there. The elder and the child. The hunter and the gatherer. The sick and the well. And they sat together until the stars came out and told stories about everything and nothing. And felt, as far as we can tell, completely at home in the day they had just lived. So here is the thing that I keep coming back to. We call ancient humans primitive. We mean it kindly, usually. We mean they had less than us. Less technology, less knowledge, less comfort. And that is true. But there is a specific kind of intelligence that ancient humans had that we have almost completely lost. They knew what a day was for. Not a busy day, not a successful day, not a perfect day, just a day. A few hours of necessary work, done together with people who depend on you and who you depend on. Then rest that you actually feel. Conversation that actually matters because the people in it are the ones your whole life depends on. Then a fire, and stories, and the stars, and sleep. That was the day. For 95% of human existence on this planet, that was the day. And I think somewhere in that, there is something worth paying attention to. Not as a lesson, not as advice, just as a reminder that when an ancient human's day was done, it was actually done. And they let it be done. Someone carved a bone flute 40,000 years ago on an afternoon when the hunting was finished and there was nothing else that needed doing. And they made it anyway, because they could, because it was afternoon, because they were human. If this made you think, share it with someone who needs a Tuesday like that. And if you want to keep finding out what ancient humans understood that we have mostly forgotten, you know where to find us.